friends. All right. Well, are y'all ready to see how we do pickled beets? Because that is what I'm going to show you. I am going to show you step by step how I do pickled beets. It's not an easy process by no means, but it is well worth it in the end. When you know what's going in your food and you know the ingredients, there's no crazy preservatives that you cannot pronounce, it's well worth it. All I'm doing right now is I filled my sink full of clean water, cool water, and I am scrubbing the dirt off of the beets. Beets grow under the ground, therefore there is lots of dirt on them, and you just want to get them as clean as you can get them before moving on to your next step. So scrub, scrub, scrub. Your hands will be tired when you get done, but ultimately it's well worth it. I'm telling you, it's well worth it. That one, no good, so we're going to toss it out. And again, like this one is a huge beet. Now, what we're going to do when it comes to a beet like this size is we're not going to put it in the same pot. So here you see the size difference. You want to put your beets similar size. So in that pot, they're all about that size. And they're going to cook fairly evenly. The bigger beets, we're going to put over here in another pot so that when they go on the stove, they cook fairly evenly. If you have big and little all mixed together, when you're done, your big ones may not be cooked thoroughly or cooked through, and your little ones may be too cooked. And you don't want to cook these all the way anyway. So for right now though, just wash them. Get all the dirt off. We're not peeling them right now. That is the way I do mine. We are not peeling them right now. We are washing them. Getting all the dirt off before moving on to the next step. So I have a sink full. I just got to keep on washing them. And I was not alone on this day. Josh was helping me in the kitchen. You just don't see him right here. So thank goodness for the help. If you can recruit help, if you choose to do beets, recruit the help because you're going to want the help. So I'm just going to continue scrubbing, getting them all done, and then I'm going to fill them with cool water so that I can get them on the stove. So here I'm just going to wash a few more, and we're going to get it over into the pot. Turn that water off. This is going over to the stovetop. I already have some on the stove cooking, so let me show you. Right here, these have been cooking. We're waiting on them to get just about done. Like you want them almost done, but not quite done. Not there. And as you can see, look at that giant pot. Now, can you guys see how much I've been working in the kitchen? Josh has definitely been helping me because this is a lot of work. But guys, in the end, it is so worth it. So we're just going to let these cook until they are almost fork tender. All right, so the beets are fork tender. We now dump them back into a fresh sink of water. So the beets you see me handling, when they are almost fork tender, I take them from the stovetop and I run a sink full of cool water. I use a scoop, a slotted spoon, and I take them from the pot, leaving the juice in the pot. And I put those beets into a clean sink of water. The water will turn pink because the beets are still bleeding out. And now I am just taking the skin off of the beets. They peel so much easier once they've been cooked. So I'm just taking the skins off and putting them back into the pot. And I'm going to keep on doing this until I have them all peeled. And that is when we go to the next step. So the peel typically comes right off. I do have a butter knife to help scrape the skin off if needed. See, there you go. I just had to cut that little piece off and help scrape the skin off and keep on until we have this all done and we have a pot full of peeled beets. Again, make sure to recruit some help in the kitchen when you're doing beets. Some of the skins come off 10 times better and easier than some of the others. And these are the beets I received at the food pantry. So I had gotten 50 pounds of beets and I was not allowing them to go to waste. So we have pickled beets on our shelf, a year's supply for my family. I did share some of the beets with friends and co-workers. So I did not pickle all 50 pounds. So you see me, my hands are starting to turn purple too from the beets. Not a big deal. It's worth it. You can wear gloves if you choose to. I choose not to. I find it's not really necessary. My hands typically come pretty clean afterwards. So there you have it. Just taking the skins off of the beets. And I'm just going to keep on. Obviously, I have so many to do. And yeah, I mean, it's hard work, guys. It's not easy, but it is so worth it. When you know what you're feeding your family, I mean, it makes it so much better. And who doesn't like pickled beets? I mean, delicious. I love them cold. That is actually my favorite, is just a cold pickled beet. All right. So now we have all of our beets that have been skinned, and now I'm over here on the chopping board and I'm just dicing them or slicing them into slices, rough cutting them, nothing fancy, trying to keep them all about the same thickness. I mean, as you can see, my hands are kind of pink, but check me out. I am just dicing. And you do want to protect your work area, because even though my hands are turning pink, my hands will come out clean fairly easily, but your work area may not. The beets can stain if you're not careful. And also, the beet juice, the water, you're going to keep some of it because it's going to be used as brine. But honestly, it's a natural dye. So like at Easter time, if you need to dye some Easter eggs, but you don't want to buy those chemical laden commercial dyes, go the all natural route. You want a pinkish red? Get beets. Boil a few beets. There's your pinkish red dye. I mean, you want purple? Get purple cabbage. I mean, there's so many natural ways to dye items as well. So I'm just going to continue to cut these up and cut these up and cut these up. All right, so now we got to come over here and make brine. We got our beets cut up. This is the beet juice. And we are just putting it over into the pot. I am not exactly sure of the measurements right now, but what I will do is if you go into my description box down below, I will have the recipe for the brine typed out down below. As you know, I'm doing a voiceover, so I don't remember exactly how many cups of what I used. And sometimes you may have to double this or triple this based on how many you're canning. But it is a super simple brine. It's nothing fancy. But we are using the beet juice, beet water that when you cooked the beets. So we have that in there, and we are going to need, let's see here. I don't know if I already put it in, but it's white distilled vinegar and sugar. So yes, I had already put the sugar in there, so I'm just stirring it up to get that sugar dissolved. And because these are pickled beets, meaning there is vinegar in that brine, we are able to water bath can these. We do not have to pressure can these. Now, if I just wanted to can the beets as just beets and not pickle them, I would have to pressure can them because they are a low acid food on their own. However, I added vinegar, turning them into pickled beets, meaning the acid level went up and I was able to water bath can them. All right, so now it's time to fill some jars. And we are just going to fill our jars with our pickled, well, no, not pickled yet, with our beets. And see, we're just going to shimmy shake it in there. And get another jar. And yeah, let's move the rings out of our way. And I have the jars in the canner. So what I'm doing, because this is a hot pack method, everything is hot. My jars are hot. My canner's hot. My beets are hot. My brine is hot. Everything is hot. So you'll see me pulling jars out of the canner, and I'm just dumping the water into the canner as I pull the jar out. I'm filling the jar and I'm moving it back. And again, I know I've said it multiple times during this video, canning is not an easy job. Some tasks are easier than others, but ultimately there's more involved when it comes to preserving your own food than there is to go to the grocery store and buy it. However, the reward of knowing what your family is eating and the fact that there are no chemicals in these foods, you preserve them, you know what's in them. There's no red dye. There's no, I don't even know, guys. All of those words on the back of the products that you cannot read on the ingredient labels, those are not in your home canned goods. You know what's in those. For instance, these pickled beets, They have beets, beet juice, vinegar, sugar. Hold on one second. Gabby, no. Sorry about that. I have a yapping dog. But again, you know what's in your food. You know you're eating wholesome food. So I feel that preserving is well worth it. So again, you're just going to fill all your jars with your beets. And once we have them all filled, we are going to top them with our brine. What do you see on these jars is that some of them have seasoning. And it is cinnamon, allspice, and nutmeg. Nothing fancy. Not every jar got seasoned, but I wanted to try it out to see which ones we would like better. So I did, put some seasonings on in a few of them. But basically, you can get creative with your seasonings however you want, as long as you keep your brine the same, meaning you want the 5% distilled white vinegar in there and the sugar. You can get creative with your seasonings. So I'm just filling these up. You want about a 1-inch headspace. You're going to want to debubble, so you will see me debubble in a minute. Alright, so we have them filled. We're going to top off as we need, but we have to debubble. So, let me find something to debubble with. I have a debubbling tool, but I'm not sure exactly where I misplaced it at because I could not find it. See, that's me looking for it because I'm like, I know I have one. I just don't know where I put it at. So it's like it just up and disappeared on me, guys. So I end up just using a wooden skewer because I couldn't find my debubbling tool. But you're going to debubble and your level of liquid may go down, which is fine. That means the bubbles came out, the liquid went down, and you're just going to top off your jars that the liquid went down because you want to maintain a 1-inch headspace. So after you've done all of your debubbling, you can just easily go through and top off those that need to be topped off. Which is what you're going to see me do right here. I'm just going to take some brine and I'm going to top it off and top it off. So it's a lot of work, but it's ultimately, once you get the hang of canning, it's really not that bad. Alright, so we have everything topped off, and we now need to get a paper towel and get some white vinegar on it because we need to wipe the rims with white Vin. This is because we have a sticky brine in there, and if any siphoning happens, it can cause your lid to not seal. So you want to wipe off, well, hold on. Let me back up. You're wiping the rims to get any of the stickiness off to help it seal. Now, you can have siphoning happen, and sometimes that does not affect the seal, and sometimes it will. So you just have to pray for the best. I've not had too much problems with my seals. I personally have found these lids last year when they were giving out free samples. They're Superb lids. They are actually made in the USA, and they have a blue inner ring right there, like rubber seal, gasket seal. I love them. My seal rate with these are astronomical. I don't have any failures. And guys, I am not being paid by Superb to tell you guys this. You will see in lots of my videos, I do use other lids because I will use what I have and what I have found. However, if I have to choose a favorite lid, Superb would be my favorite. And if they would like to sponsor me, I would gladly take their sponsorship because I love them. I've heard a lot of great deal about 4Jars lids. However, I have never used 4Jars lids, so I cannot give you my opinion on them. I can tell you that I love the story with Superb, and if you want to know the story, go to their website. They've got it on there. But I love, they're made in USA. My seal rate is awesome. So again, guys, everybody can have a different opinion and a different favorite lid. I use whatever I have. I have several different brands. I have some that I actually found at the dollar store, and because I am frugal, I use them and they've sealed perfectly fine. Now, we just put the rings on these fingertip tight, and we're going to put them over into a water bath. You want the water to cover the jars, and you're going to process them. How long did I process these for? Pretty sure I processed them for, it was either 15 or 25 minutes. I'm not exactly sure, but what I will do is it'll be in the description box down below. So as you can see, we're just putting them in there. And I had to take some of the water out of the canner because I had too much water in there. But here you guys have it. I'm done. Look, well, actually, I think there's more to be preserved, but I'm done for this batch. And this is the next day. And look at them. They sealed beautifully. I mean, all of these beautiful jars to go on my shelf to feed my family. I mean, like that right there has allspice in it. And then I have some that have cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice. And then I have some that have none of it, just your plain brine. But I mean, just look at these beautiful, nothing did not seal. Every last one of these jars sealed. So, very thankful for that. I'm just, makes me super happy because I love a pickled beet. And to know that I can do this and provide for my family makes it even better. So yeah, here you see me testing and just picking them up. You want to just take the ring off. You do not want to store them with the ring on it. You actually want to take and wash your jars after you take the rings off, and then